Welcome to the Str8 Show, your one-stop destination for intriguing conversations with extraordinary individuals who are boldly navigating life outside the conventional norms. Our host, Scott Fullerton, is thrilled to embark on this journey of discovery with all of you. The Str8 Show, we believe that every person's story is unique, and it's our mission to showcase the diversity of human experiences. We bring you the untold stories of fascinating people who identify as LGBT+ and allies, pushing boundaries, breaking stereotypes, and making a positive impact in our communities. On this show, we bring you a diverse lineup of inspiring guests, from activists to artists, and entrepreneurs to entertainers, and everything in between. We dive deep into their personal journeys, discovering the pivotal moment that has shaped their lives and careers. You can expect thought-provoking discussions on a wide range of topics, from LGBTQ rights, social justice to arts, culture, mental health, and more. Our guests are change makers who share their insights, challenges, and triumphs, igniting conversation that promotes empathy, understanding, and love. So whether you're part of the LGBTQ community or an ally looking to expand your knowledge and show your support, the Str8 Show is for you. Together, we can build bridges of understanding and acceptance, celebrating the beauty of what makes us all unique. So sit back, grab a drink, and get ready for the show.
Well, hello, y'all. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Str8 Show, your go-to podcast with interviews with our LGBTQ and straight allies, celebrities, and personalities, all from the wonderful worlds of entertainment, foodies, books, music, and advocacy. I'm your host, as always, Scott Fullerton, and today I have a power-packed episode featuring two incredible talents that I'm fortunate enough to call great friends. Emerson Collins and Blake McIver in the studio with me today. Emerson's an actor, director, and producer of some of my favorite films and television projects, as well as an amazing writer in entertainment, current events, and politics. He's not only captivated audiences with his talent and passion for storytelling, but given back to his craft through his work as program director for the incredible Del Shores Foundation, whose mission is to find and facilitate the development of new Southern queer artistic voices through bringing together artists and working professionals, amplifying new work, and connecting artists to platforms for the creation of that work. Joining Emerson is, of course, the talented Blake McIver, whose entertainment in his genes. He began acting and singing at a very young age, continuing to shine with talent on film, on stage, and behind the scenes ever since. Blake's dynamic performances have resonated with fans, showcasing his diverse skill set in the world of entertainment. And besides that, he's focused all that experience in directing and vocal coaching for up-and-coming performers, and recently challenged himself to become a certified personal trainer, which of course he aced as well. Together or separately, this dynamic duo continue to impress with their talent, their time, and their hearts. Please welcome back to the show two of my very favorite people, Emerson Collins and Blake McIver are here. Hey guys.
Hello. It's so exciting to be back.
So excited to talk to you. We haven't got to talk to in person for decades, it feels like. We get to chat on social media from time to time, but you guys are busy little boys out there in the world, right?
Yes, we were actually just talking yesterday about something from earlier this year and being like, wait, that was this year. So it's been a year of random surprising projects. Like there wasn't like a January plan for the year. Things just kept like popping up and arriving and stacked into a fantastic series of unrelated adventures.
There you go. I mean, I was looking over some stuff. It's like, what are we going to talk about? I've missed so many things. And all of a sudden we go through Skivvies and we go through I Dreamed a Dream Girl and we go through this, we go through that. It's like, you guys have had an amazing year. It's crazy.
It's been a wild year and change, actually.
Yeah, it's sort of, there was the post-pandemic of like, oh great, what can you do? That became like a series of like 3 months. It's like life has existed almost in quarters, you know, like, oh, this is this. Last year was the tour, then we did the giant benefit, then we did the play this summer, you know, it's like looking at like 3-month manageable bites of life.
Right. Well, let's talk about some great projects. I mean, you guys only get to work together so much, right? So let's talk about some of these projects. Going back, I love the Skivvies. I love having their performances are amazing in New York. I've got to see them in New York once. I haven't seen them in LA yet, but you guys kind of toured with them in a couple locations in LA back around Christmas time, right?
Yeah, we got to do their Christmas tour. Gosh, for the third time now. Yeah, they are such a delight. Nick and Lauren are so talented and so clever and so fun to work with, and they attract the most lovely people. So you always know, no matter what the lineup is, you know you're gonna make a new friend. Every time you do a Skivvy show, it's just a delight.
Yeah, definitely started as like fans of what they were doing, and they become very good friends. And so we regularly do their holiday tour. And then this summer we got to drop in. They did the Rocky Horror Skivvy show that they created. That's the same thing. They take Rocky Horror, and then there's like mashup medleys of like related songs. That's so smart and so fun that they'd never done in LA. And so we did that with them this summer at the Bourbon Room. So we got to do like a half yearly Skivvies check-in this time.
I love that. So much fun. I saw them in New York with Nick Adams, who's been on the show, of course, from Priscilla, and he's worked with them a lot. So, yeah, it just looks like so much fun. Their performances are always just kind of really irreverent and raw and fun. So, it had to be a lot of fun to do. I can imagine.
Well, and they're musically brilliant. Like what they conceive in these mashups and these medleys, and frankly, like some of the creativity we used in building our own tour was like, oh right, you really can take the most random things and put them together, and if you make the music work, like there's an audience that really loves the sort of smart absurdity of like overlapping music that way. And so getting to join them in it is great, and they're both wonderful people and brilliant musicians. And so yeah, it's sort of one of those like whenever they call, we say yes.
I would indeed, of course. And you talk about you guys' project, I Dream to Dream Girl, such a fun. I mean, you were all over Atlanta to North Carolina. You took the show on the road, my friends. Talk about the conception of the plan and how was that tour?
We really did. We were everywhere. What was it? We did more than 13 shows by the end.
Oh yeah, and like over a dozen cities. And it started from, lots of people know, in the boredom of the pandemic, we started making our own shows. The theater in San Antonio asked us, would we make a show for their audience? And we'd never performed together. And so we did. And we put so much more effort into building that show than we ever would have in real life, because it took up time in the afternoon. It was like, yeah, get up, get dressed, work on the show, then put on your sweatpants to watch Netflix all night long. So we did that show for theaters. We did a Halloween show. We did a Christmas show. And at the beginning of last year, people had said, are you going to do another live stream show? And we sort of said, no, I'd rather walk into traffic. And so, but then the idea, we talked about what would it be like if we made that show, made a show that's sort of our story and things we enjoy. And so we did a trial run of it here in Los Angeles for our friends and said, is there anything to this? Said, we're only doing music we enjoy, telling our stories, but with numbers we really find fun. And then after we did the trial run, basically I reached out to all the theaters that are partners of the Del Shores Foundation and said, hey, we have a show. Are you interested? Because they'd be at least obligated to watch our sizzle reel. So immediately we got back yeses from, of course, Uptown Players in Dallas and Palm Springs, and then built in a sort of southeastern tour that was Savannah, Atlanta, Spartanburg, Columbia, Winston-Salem, and then bounced around, and all sort of in like a 1 month period to be like, yay, look at us on the road. We ended up in Biloxi, Mississippi, that I had never been to, and had like, by the way, our most profitable show in Biloxi, Mississippi, where the Biloxi Little Theater were the most lovely hosts. They booked drag queens to do theater drag after our show. So we got to go a bunch of places and get involved with theaters we know that we haven't been to. So it was really amazing.
That sounds so cool. And it's funny, it's got to be fun to bring it on the road like that, because I remember seeing like the Christmas streaming shows and we had all this pandemic ingenuity, right? Just going left, right, and center. How was it when you actually had staging and didn't have to trip over the couch or move the couch out of the way?
It was so nice. It was so nice. And we got to play on some really big stages, which was really fun. To be able to expand the show and work a room was really fun. We were constantly pleasantly surprised by every city we drop into, and people would just love the idea and love the show. And we had, lighting people jump in and be like, "Hey, oh, great, we can do this, that." The Biloxi Little Theater had like special effects. We had like smoke machines for our villains medley. Like, it was just fun. It was fun for it to also be a little bit different in each city. It kind of took various shapes, which was fun.
And also to have people laugh and applaud in real life rather than doing it on your computer and like then reading the comments to see if people like that number.
Right?
There was nothing weirder than like finishing a big 8-minute medley in the living room and then going, "Oh, did y'all like that? Oh, great, you did. Thanks. So glad."
Awful. I think we're all just like so Zoom fatigue.
Well, speaking of Zoom, I got to commend you, Emerson, and your best friend Justin. When your drag is not dangerous was an amazing event. I watched that online through my TV. I streamed it on the big screen. Some amazing people on there. It was such a great cause. We've had such a rough year in the LGBTQ community. Talk about producing that for Justin and working on that together.
Well, it's funny, I sort of fell into it backwards because Justin is represented by PEG Entertainment. Then they represent a ton of the huge drag queens that you know. And he had said that PEG really wanted to do something because it was at the height of all of that, banning drag in Tennessee and various places, and also the anti-trans bills that we continue to see happening. And they said, we really want to do something to fundraise for the communities because it's such a part of their own work and the artists that they're close to. And they had asked Justin to host it, to be one of the hosts. And so early on, he was like, "Hey, I want to do some sketches for this. Do you want to write some of them with me?" So we sat around and wrote some sketches to like be silly, have fun. And he was like, "Leslie Jones is going to do this and Sherry O'Terry is going to do this." And so after we'd done that, I showed up the day that they were filming some of the sketches and got to talking with the production team. And, in their enthusiasm, they were pulling a lot of elements together. They had an incredible team that was going to do the telethon aspect. But I was talking with the producers and they had a producer fall ill. And so looking at their board and organizing the show, I was like, "Hey, I have a lot of experience actually with live stream fundraisers from the stuff that we did with the foundation early on and the sort of live stream." And so I helped reorganize the order of the show. And David, that runs PEG, said, "Hey, would you be willing to stay, through the week and be a part of this?" And I was like, "Absolutely. This speaks to things I'm passionate about. We've talked many times over the year how drag is my Disneyland." And so I ran with the TV producer, the live telethon stage, bringing the drag queens in and out from the phones, with Justin and Peppermint hosting on our stage, and then of course Alaska and Adam Shankman hosting on the other. And it was just a really special night. I mean, it was over 4.5 hours, raised almost $600,000, and what's really impressive about PEG and what they did is they just said, we see a need, we have the talents, let's sort of do this giant thing. And so bringing my own producing experience to it, to something I really care about as well, and in support of Justin and Peppermint were amazing, hosting live all night with us yelling in their ears and like, "Now let's try to take a live phone call." And you have Jinx Monsoon dropping in and Marcia Gay Harden, who has queer kids, stopping by to talk about that. There's just the range of the support of the community was amazing. And at the end of the night, it was definitely one of those, wow, I can't believe we pulled this off. Two of the other producers come from Dancing with the Stars. Like, it was people really in and of our community supporting a really special thing.
It came off great. I mean, those things are tough to do on stage, let alone when you're dealing with Zoom and cameras and all these different things, 2 different stages and 2 different locations. So good on you guys for really pulling that off well. Like I said, I live streamed the entire thing. It was nice to do from my basement here in Northeast Ohio. So that's the only good thing about Zooming, right? Is you get to reach those people all over the place that might not get to see it all the time. I've become addicted to Studio 54 Below's streaming. Get to see such great Broadway talent, which Blake's of course familiar with the stuff you've done on Broadway and your friends you've helped produce over there and direct over there. So that's the good part of streaming, right? You do get to hit those audiences.
Well, it feels like that hybrid is the actual win. We're like, here's a show that is for the people in the room, but we're going to make it accessible by also live streaming it. Like, that feels like a great advancement post-pandemic, as opposed to just the purely live stream shows that weren't as wonderful on the performer. That way you get the best of both worlds.
Right. And Blake, we were talking before we came on. I've known you and your best friend, Mary Elaine Haskell, for a long time. I remember her just as your boozy friend in the living room doing your Zooms, having a great time back in the day. But you and Emerson worked together on a project that just a couple of people in there involved, maybe Morgan Freeman and Debbie Allen, a couple people, and produced and directed by Blake and Emerson. I was so proud to see that. Talk about that project.
Yeah, just during the holidays, actually, we were having the Haskells came over for, there was actually Christmas dinner at my parents' house, and we were all sitting around talking, and Sam said, you know, we have this event. It's the 20th anniversary of the Ford Center at University of Mississippi at Ole Miss, and they basically, Sam and Mary got the funding and the donors together to get the building built in the first place 20 years ago. And so they were giving them the Concerto Award, which is a philanthropy award at the university, for the 20-year gala anniversary. And, you know, my godfather is a big television producer, and so they basically awkwardly sort of asked him to produce a show and then told him that he would be the honoree. And so he said, I can't exactly produce my own award. That's weird. And also, you know, it is a giant performing arts center, state-of-the-art performing arts center in the middle of a very small town where everybody talks and everybody knows each other. So he's like, I cannot do this. Would you all be interested? And he said, don't worry, I've already sent the emails out, and Morgan Freeman is attached, Debbie Allen's attached, Bellamy Young's attached, and Christine Baranski we're just waiting to hear back from, but she already said yes. And we're like, oh, great. So just like a real casual group of people. And and by the way, Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr. from the original Fifth Dimensions will be closing the show with a 45-minute set of their greatest hits. So
that is crazy. And Emerson, talk about, I mean, I saw some things. What did I read? I think I read something that you posted where Christine Baranski was looking at a pre-event party with the lightning, and like, I didn't need all these special effects or something. I mean, how fun are they just to interact with these people?
Well, and so we went down there for the week, you know, so that Blake could really work on the music with the band, because they used the jazz band from the university. It's very a supportive arts community that the Haskells really want to lift up and celebrate as well. And so we were there for the rehearsals. Like, Bellamy gets in town, and her amazing husband Pedro, who's a world-class percussionist. And so we listened to their rehearsals with the bands and hear, you know, Mary and sing and Bellamy sing. And then, of course, they host a giant, you know, VIP dinner for the big donors who are making the evening possible, so that all of the funds raised can go to support the school with all of the stars as they've arrived in town. And so it's this very intimate dinner at the Haskells' home. And then, but being the South, one of those like crazy thunderstorm fronts comes through as we're all arriving and sitting in front of the giant bay windows, and then lightning everywhere. And Christine Baranski does walk out and says, you know, Sam, these special effects are over the top, but and then the storm got pretty serious. But you had the local Mississippians who were like, we're going home. Like, that tornado's not close to here. Good night. So we just have sort of the visiting celebrities remaining at the house. And we joked, you know, he said, it can't end like this, because it can't be like Morgan Freeman, Christine Baranski, and others, you know, lost in tragic tornado. Right? Or refuse. It's a Scott Nevins joke that I've stolen blatantly, but refuse to be and others, you know, in the newspaper headline. But it was great because it also gave that cast for this variety show evening a fun opportunity to bond and spend time together that you don't always get, you know, when you do these big variety events. Because then on Saturday, we dropped in, we met with the crew, set the plan for the stage, did the afternoon rehearsals, one time through on these numbers, because these people are pros. And I'll tell it because, you know, he wouldn't. In the midst of like Blake's directing the show up front, getting everybody like where they need to go, I'm running the show on the headset with the tech team, because we made all these video packages with Sam's editor, who is fantastic. And so doing the tech elements, we've sort of divided and conquered. And then, oh, right, by the way, Blake has to go out and do the number. He's performing in the middle of the show. So as he's running his number for the first time, where the cast is all sitting backstage, like listening and enjoying, he starts his number and Christine Baranski sits up and goes, oh. And then he finishes and you just hear from backstage, bravo! From Christine.
Nice. That's so nice.
Like, iconic, like appreciation. Because it wasn't like she was doing that for every number. It was like, oh, this talent. And then trying not to be a dork about, telling Morgan Freeman what you need from him, through the evening. And they were all so lovely.
McIver's newest fan club, headed by Christine Baranski in the South edition there. I love that.
Yeah. And of course, they're all longtime friends of the Haskells, and that's, why they were all willing to come. And they're all lovely people. So you have Kathy Ireland, and she went over and spoke at the business school in the afternoon, because of course she has a gajillion-dollar empire as well. And it was a special night because everyone stayed and listened to the other performances. And then when we got to the second half, it was Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis, just watching the dance party backstage as all of these enormously famous and talented people are like jaw dropped at the talent of these original Fifth Dimensions, like singing Blackbird and all of these numbers. It just made for a really special night.
That's got to be the best when you see other artists celebrating other artists. That's the things that I always live for, and seeing that happen. I mean, it happens a lot, but not as often as you'd think. But it's just really nice when you really see that support for everybody. So,
and all like real, original, like work hard, lots of theater-oriented people. I mean, can you share your half-hour experience?
Oh, we had a meet and greet before the show, which I am not a fan of for anyone, for any reason. And I definitely put my foot down as much as I could, and I was overridden by the board saying, no, these people have given a lot of money. They have to be able to have a toast with the cast. And I'm like, sure, fine. They have 30 minutes, an hour before the show. And so I start, at 22 past the hour, I start circling, like a vulture, circling the room, trying to relieve the cast back to backstage. And Christine is cornered taking a bunch of photos with a group of lovely, very well-meaning people. But it was like, it was going on and on and on and on and on in this group and that group and that group. And I finally just stood in front and said, I'm so sorry, but, Miss Baranski has to go backstage and prepare for the show. And we're walking, so I get her out of the room and we're walking down the hallway and she looks at her watch and she was like, oh, you would protect my half hour. And I said, no, we must in the theater. She goes, there is that moment where you just know. You just know.
I love that.
Walked her back to her dressing room and she got ready for the show. It was phenomenal.
And then it was very cute at the end of the evening, because Debbie Allen, he's of course known her for many, many years. But afterwards, I was like, okay, we've been professional all of the 3 days, but I want these photos, for my life that we did this thing. And so running to get the Morgan Freeman photo right as we walk off the stage, we were both together, we need the Christine photo, we want it. And so we're like, can we get the photo? And she's like, of course. And she said, I've done many of these. And then what did she say? This is the best.
Yeah.
She said, this is the best run benefit I've been a part of. Which I was like, can we put that on the website? Just taking the compliment that we did what we were supposed to do, well. And of course, you realize now, we've done that a lot. We've done it in a lot of different ways for a lot of different things. And that is what we actually do. It's you've got a night and a thing, and we direct and produce, and we'll be on our way to do your show.
There you go. Producing and directing duo of Emerson and Blake. I absolutely love that.
And it was special because I don't know that we may have missed it in our various conversations over the years, because the University of Mississippi is also where Blake went for a whole semester to be a guest artist at the university to direct in their opera department, The Light in the Piazza. So he was with the faculty there for a semester.
Yeah, for 3 months. And that was the same room too. So it was nice to go back to that venue and be in that beautiful theater.
I've known about many of your directing accomplishments. I did not know that one. Very impressive. Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah, nice. I was taught for teacher.
There you go. Lake's been coming across my radar so much lately. I went to I took mom's a gambler, we know that, so I took her up to West Virginia, so we have to travel right through Steubenville. So I think of your mom and Dean Martin every time I drive through there. I can't stop and think of your mom. And then I had Garrett Clayton on the other day, did an interview with him. He's up doing a local production of Rocky Horror in Rochester. And I talked about you guys and the Skivvies and things like that. And he mentioned Rockwell. I missed your Rockwell brunches so much. I really want you to do Rockwell brunches again.
I know.
A lot of work, I'm sure, but they were looking pretty good.
I missed them too. Well, it was and it wasn't, because it always, there was always like one day of stress, right? Where you'd go, oh my gosh, what are we gonna actually do? And we've got how many members of the choir can be in the show that day, and who knows what song, and which audio files do we need to send to which person to rehearse. But then inevitably, the day of would just be a complete joy from start to finish. Like, we'd get there, we'd sound check. The minute we all sing together, we remember, this is why we do this. This is amazing. Like, this is just going to be a joy. So I am hopeful that we will be able to bring those back in a new venue. Right now, thankfully, booked and blessed, most of the members of the choir are employed at the Tale of the Lion King show at Disneyland, like killing it 4 times a day, just singing their faces off at the park, which is awesome. But it makes the scheduling a little bit more difficult.
That is awesome. I am a Disney gay through and through. I saw you guys at Disney, the Gay Days, the other day. It was very fun. I saw a picture of you with one of my new friends, Brandon James, who such a talent he is. But how fun was that, taking that day in again?
Oh, we have the best time. I mean, Gay Days is a delight. We haven't been able to go in a few years. We were out of town a couple of times, and then obviously COVID years. But it's just the greatest sort of relaxing, fun way to do the parks, where everybody just kind of like wink, nudge, oh, they're in a red shirt. And it's so great, because it's this casual takeover that's still unofficial. And even though Disney finally did a Pride Night this year, which was wonderful, but there is something so great about the organizers of this that has been so special for so many people for so many years, when it was the only thing that you could sort of do overtly gay in the park.
Yeah. And it's fun how many people make it their destination trip. It's like, oh, we want to go, and we'll go that weekend because like just getting in lines and being like, here's a random lesbian couple, and there's something still so great about like seeing each other and being like, oh, y'all and us and yay us community that I love.
Oh, it's great. I love the Gay Days. I mean, Disney does that all the time, right? I have friends, I know gays from all over that go for the Halloween haunts at Disney, because they do such a great job at Halloween, which is this month here. And I saw they did, I don't know if it's a regular thing, you'll have to tell me, because I haven't been there now for a couple of years, but I saw they did a Steve Rogers, like the musical, because I'm a fan of superheroes, of course. So I don't know if that's a regular thing, if that was a special thing in the summer, but
where it was just a special thing for the summer, I did make sure that I got to see it a few days before it closed, and it was a phenomenal show. I had a couple of friends in it. Nice. We are hopeful that it was so popular that they will bring it back. It was phenomenal. It was a really special show. Like, it did not feel like a theme park show. It was like just a very short, full Broadway show.
Nice. I heard great things about it at the time. It was like, I didn't know if it was a short term or not. I just heard it was running back. I knew it happened in July. I hadn't heard anything about it since, so I wasn't sure.
There's rumors that it might come back. I'm hopeful.
That would be great. Let's talk about some other projects and getting some acting and some producing again. You guys have done some great work with Del Shore's Foundation. I also want to talk first maybe about Shafted with Matt Hayes, Emerson. You co-directed that. I love Matt. Matt is such the nicest guy on the planet, of course. Good friends with you guys all the time. Talk about, you've taken that on the road now. Talk about that project.
It was amazing. Matt has become a very close friend and a brilliant artist and member of the Extended Shores family, but inner circle. And he came last fall to me and Dell and said, I have the idea for my next short film. For background, his first short film, Cognitive, which was huge on the festival circuit, won all these awards. It was also the inspiration for the Del Shores Foundation. Stuart Bell, watching Dell mentor Matt, sort of led to the creation of the festival. So that's integral in our larger story. And he came and said, I'd love for the two of you to direct my new short film together. And in my many things, escalating slowly, like directing with Dell, a very sort of wedding, the world premiere stage adaptation. And then this is my first directing on film experience. And so it was great. His friend Bree, who was the producer, and the incredible crew that she works with, that they got, we spent 2 days in a warehouse on an elevator, a fake elevator set in December, and shot what is ultimately, it starts as a rom-com about two guys who get stuck in an elevator, or one guy asks a guy out on an elevator, he gets rejected, and the elevator immediately breaks down, and they're stuck on it together. So then, of course, they get to know each other. Without spoiling it too much, about 2/3 of the way through the film, it takes this very meta turn that steps outside of the world of the rom-com. Because in real life, Matt was saying, I've raised all this money to make this short, but I don't have enough money to pay my rent, and I feel silly, and is this wish fulfillment? And his friend Jesslyn said, put that in your movie. When he told us about it, I said, Matt, that's amazing. And it makes me proud to tell that story. It's really honest. It's really vulnerable to show that much of your own wonder and insecurity with people. And I think that's really relatable. So I'm really proud of the results. And we did it with their team, and our Donna, who edits everything, is our associate producer. So I went out to Palm Springs and did that with her. And then, it's in over 20 film festivals now. It's playing in Slovakia soon. Matt and Alexander, who plays the co-lead, won Best Duo at the Dubai Film Festival. We were nominated for Best Director, Best Film, and Matt for Best Performance at the Red Brick Film Festival in Oklahoma this past weekend. So I'm proud of how it's doing. It's playing well. And of course, once we're done with that, we'll figure out a way to make it available to everyone else. So for my first film directing, and I've been contributing, so to speak, with Dell and our work, obviously, for a long time as producer, but to take the directing reins with him was really exciting and definitely stimulated a different part of me that I think has been waiting to make its appearance. So I'm really proud of that as my first film directing piece.
Congratulations. And we bring circle with circle with circle. Then we go to Blake, who's now co-directed with Blake, you and Matt, in The Red Suitcase. And you can talk about the Del Shores part of it later, but talk about working and directing with Del yourself there, Blake.
Yeah, we had a great time together. And since we'd never worked together in that capacity before, I think you go into it, even though we've been very close for a long time, each of us went into it with a certain amount of trepidation about, how is this conversation going to go, and where is the authority line, in the chain of command. And it just worked so seamlessly. It was really, really fun. The Red Suitcase is such a brilliant play, and it's so abstract, and it's so theatrical, and it's so, the first 20 minutes of the play is almost entirely a montage, like a film style montage. So the world was our oyster as far as staging, which is my favorite challenge. And then, you get to the really dramatic interpersonal sequences in the show in the second act, and that's right in the center of Dell's wheelhouse. So we just sort of yin-yanged with each other pretty much between what I do and what he does, and it was a delightful process.
I love that. And put on your Del Shores Foundation program director hat, Emerson, because getting such phenomenal work out of there. Not only this, you've been celebrating a short film. You went out of town the other day to talk about the talent you're finding with this foundation.
Well, it's really exciting. And, we were so thrilled with each milestone that the foundation achieves, right? We did our first writer search. Yay, we got to our first 3 winners. They're wonderful people and exciting work. We get to our first writers festival to bring all the finalists together, do the readings. And then the Red Suitcase, was the fruition of my original idea with the foundation of, we want to help people get the work made. Not just give them money that's awards. Yay, here's, money because you wrote a good script. My original thing was we've got to put a grant that makes the play a reality. And so grateful to John Peterson from the P3 Theater Company, because I asked him, and he served on the jury for our first writer search that chose Jig's play, The Red Suitcase, as the winner. And then he came back and said, and I want my theater company to take the $10,000 grant and do the play. And he flew into Dallas to see the reading at the Writers Festival, and we announced the production there. And then Str8 made it possible for Jigs to come out and be a part of the entire rehearsal process through the opening weekend. Blake and Del were able to talk with Jigs about things. He was able to watch what happened as it got put on its feet for the first time. And it was really special, Del guiding the dramatic part of the story and then handing off for Blake to create all of the choreography of the suitcases to make real what Jigs had just put in a script of like a suitcase opens and projections happens. Blake came up with the idea of the suitcases making a tree and the leaves of the tree being journals that we could project onto, and getting all of us being in the room together to make this a very real thing, and then having the reviewers overwhelmingly rave about Jig's prose, about the work, about the ambitiousness of the piece, and each of the actors in the play individually was singled out and celebrated for their work, and that's such a triumph for the foundation, for the first play to be out there. Meanwhile, we were doing our second writer search, and then selecting those winners, and the winner of the short film for this year, we realized we met him last year in Pensacola at our partner film festival. Stamped there was celebrating their 10th anniversary, a huge milestone for an LGBTQ film festival. And so they brought Del and I in as guests to celebrate and be a part of a panel. This man comes up and asks a question at the Q&A, and he and I get to talking afterwards, and he says, I've got a script, but it's not done, and I'm working on a novel, and I don't know what to do there, and I just want to be writing. And I said, write a short film, enter it in our writer search. You can do that in the time there is before the deadline. Unbeknownst to me, until the very end, he did that. He submitted, and he won our short film contest, and I didn't realize who he was until we did the Zoom where Del and I were meeting the winners to tell them they had won. I was like, I know you. And he said, I know. I entered this because you said do it. And so this year, Stamped brought Del and I back to be with William, and we did a big panel, celebrating local Pensacola filmmakers. The Red Ribbon Foundation there has contributed to our foundation. Del did a writer's workshop for them. And it just validates the thing we're trying to do, which is build queer networking opportunities in the South amongst the existing arts organizations and the writers where they live. And William just launched the Indiegogo for his short film. Actually, if you're listening and watching, you can contribute to that, delshoresfoundation.org. But he's found a local production company who said they will guarantee that they will help him get that short made. Stamped wants to premiere it at their film festival next year, so I'm proud of the concrete, real-world progress we're making for some of the writers, and we're currently working on our plan for the Writers' Festival for this year, preparing to announce very soon it's going to be in a new city in February. So doing that progress while we work all together on the things and just keeping our family growing and expanding in all the different ways. And me getting to act under Blake's direction, for the first time this year as well, and me getting to say all of Jig's brilliant words in this incredible role. It's very self-fulfilling. Selfishly, it's been fulfilling, and also in our work, it's very inspiring and proud that it feels like we're doing something good in the world that's concrete as well.
I love that. So amazing. I'm so happy for you guys. And I read all the trades. I read all of your guys' posts, and I kind of pay attention to everything that's happening. I've been able to donate to the foundation. You guys do such great work, and keep it up. That is just so amazing. I like that.
Thank you. We're really proud of what we've done.
There you go. Let's take a left turn for a second with Blake here. I mean, you've played Hercules on everything but TV, I think, and now all of a sudden, you have more eras than Taylor Swift. We had the long hair era, we had the porn stash era, now we have the bodybuilder era, and you've become a personal trainer. Talk about that. That's kind of exciting. We have the real life Hercules here.
Well, the thing that it's so great to have conversations like this where we talk about, all of the things that we do and all of the things that make us who we are. And, the sad reality and sort of the reason that we're all, striking right now is that none of what we do pays enough. Art in our country has been devalued for so long that we can't afford to just be artists and have a living wage. And so fitness was always a passion of mine, and it became a side hustle, really. The gym that I went to, that I belonged to since 2016, is an Australian gym right here in West Hollywood called Training Mate. I went to them when I got cast in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and I got cast in the Dallas production of it in Nick Adams's role from who did it on Broadway. And I was like, oh God, I have to like really nail this accent and like really be naked. So I need to be like jacked and Aussie. Where can I do this? Oh, there happens to be a gym down the street where all the trainers are Australian. So I worked on my accent and my body at the same time. And then I just never left. I loved the company so much I never left. And then after the pandemic, I started working for them just as a part-time gig. Literally just to make some more money, because we all have to have, a million side hustles. And but as I worked there, I was like, I really do love this, and I already teach voice, which is a very like personal coaching profession that's very unique and sort of an intimate exchange of ideas. And so I thought, what if I just studied to get my personal training license and work for the company in a bigger capacity? And so that's what I did. I mean, it didn't happen overnight, but it's been great.
Well,
and I love it.
And I agree 100% with what you said. I mean, if anything we've learned these last 3 years in the entertainment industry, nothing is permanent. Who knows when a pandemic's going to come, a strike's going to come, XYZ is going to come. It's so transient. I know I had one of my friends originated a role in Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway right before pandemic. He's a real estate person now after time. I mean, you have to do what you have to do, right?
Yeah, and we've both also always been really honest, sort of about the like good, the bad, the struggle, the easy, from whatever the things are. Like even what we've talked about today, and joking about living our lives in quarters, that's just sort of the impermanence and unknown of the business, because it sounds great. But so like last fall, great, we planned and produced and performed entirely our own, 12-city tour. We rolled into this year to do a benefit. For the first 2 months of the year, I fell backwards into this other benefit. The plan was always to do the Red Suitcase this summer. And that was a weird silver lining of both of my unions going on strike at the same time. And Dell and I going out to, March. We were getting ready to go out with a new writing project that we have that has been put on hold, and we just found out, of course, that the SAG-AFTRA talks have fallen apart. And so at the beginning of this year, we're doing a benefit, and Blake's doing the national certification, like the highest level, like the genuine, real national certification to be a trainer. It's an exercise always in doing multiple things, because you don't know which one's going to come through first, which one's going to make sure you have all the bills paid first. And while we love it and it's joyful, it means like in order to not be stressed all the time, like make sure you're always doing enough things that something will be ready when the hole in the schedule arrives.
Exactly. Thank God for Uber in Hollywood, West Hollywood there, right? I mean,
Yes.
That probably supported not just regular people, but half the actors in town. It's like,
well, we've told the story. I drove for Lyft for 9 months right after our very sort of wedding. Like we've all done whatever is required at whatever moment to get to the next, hopefully, artistic thing that also, covers what you needed to cover.
There you go. Well, your next project will give you enough money to buy the Abbey, and then you'll be set for life, right? You'll be good to go.
Like, yeah, well, yes, but also
I don't want it.
No, but we would have, with the giant Powerballs that have been happening. I'm like, well, if I won $1 billion, I would open a giant like theater complex.
There you go.
That's what I would do. Like a good 500, 600, 750 like giant house with two little like 100 seat, small theater and a cabaret bar, and then like a little cafe with a piano, and then studios for like dance and readings. That would be my like fantasy $1 billion extravaganza, where we could develop art, from the reading all the way to the giant celebrity performance. Someday, right?
Stop building restaurants on Universal Studio Hill there and put a nice studio like that in there, something that's worthwhile. I like that.
Correct.
All right, well, we got to start wrapping it up. Let's talk about one fun, one serious. I got to talk about the sojourn to Dollywood. Talk about that. How was that experience?
Life-changing. As a Southern homosexual, it's basically Mecca. It's like it's been hanging there. We're working with friends on a to come project and use that as an excuse to go and spend the day at Dollywood, and it was everything you could have possibly wanted it to be and more.
Nice. Now is that a stage you've ever performed on, Blake? You've performed different places. Have you ever made it to Dollywood?
Never. I had never been to Dollywood, which is wild. After getting to spend time with her in Nashville, but never got over to Pigeon Forge until this past couple weeks.
Oh, we started our day with the Harmonies of the Heart show featuring Family of Dolly Parton, and it was just uphill from there. I mean, it was just like a glorious.
I think we did it right. I think that sets the tone for the day. Like if you're going, start there, do Harmonies of the Heart first, yes, and then go on the rides.
Yes. It's like we did the rides, we did the cinnamon bread that everyone, literally we posted we were going to Dollywood, and I must have had like 40 people on every social media platform be like, you cannot leave without having that cinnamon bread. I was like, okay, like I love a pastry experience and I love a cinnamon roll, but like calm down, y'all. It was worth the 20-minute wait, and we definitely ate the loaf of bread in 90 seconds.
That's amazing.
I will be one of those people telling people, make sure you get the cinnamon bread.
I have a couple of good gay friends that have a little gay campground about 20 miles from Dollywood that keeps inviting me there for the summer, and I have not made it yet. But that is on my
to-do list. Stop. Now, do they have tent? Do you have to like bring your own camper shell, or how does it work?
No, it's like little guest houses, little things, and
like glamping.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
no,
yes.
I'm only a glamper. I'm not. If it has to do with bugs and dirt, no, we're not doing.
No, thank you.
Correct.
All right. Well, let's finish up on a quasi-serious note. I mean, the Sordid Lies family has lost a couple of icons over the last year. Of course, we had Olivia Newton-John a little over a year ago in August. Was in the original movie. And of course, Leslie Jordan's been in so many great Dale Shores productions and worked with your company there. But you guys, by the time this is aired, you've celebrated his walk on the Palm Springs Walk of Fame. That's another Dale Shores foundation. Talk about that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a hard year in the Sordid family. We did, of course, a celebration of Sordid Lives as our fundraiser this year, celebrating those people, in the Southern, not mournful, but in a celebration of the ridiculous and lovely stories. That was our big fundraiser. And, early on, a lot of people had said, and, what about Leslie getting a star? And of course, Palm Springs is so important to Dell's work, to the Sordid Lives family. They've been going there for over 20 years. And so we decided, Dell said, why don't we as the foundation raise the money? And it costs $15,000, to get the star, to pay for the installation. And so, yes, by the time this airs, we will have been there to celebrate that October 20th. And then you should be able to go to delshoresfoundation.org and see the photos and see the experience there with a ceremony featuring, of course, our core family, Dale Dickey, Newell and Rosemary Alexander, Ann Walker, Cheyenne Jackson is coming. Course from Call Me Kat with Leslie. Dell and I are hosting it together, and Danny Myrick, who co-produced Leslie's album, is going to be doing some songs as the same thing, a special celebration in a positive and joyful way, even though it's incredibly hard. And we haven't wanted to do a ton of events. Dell definitely turned down a lot of things through the year of like, it's still hard. I mean, admittedly, for him, but this is a way to celebrate in a place where he was beloved, even more so than many other places, with people that we love, in a community that loves him. And it feels good to us to do that. And we will have announced that he is of course, going to remain the honorary board co-chair emeritus of the foundation. He said yes with Ann Walker right away when we started the foundation. He said, just tell me where to be. And so it's sort of a special final celebration piece. Because the anniversary of his passing is October 24th, so it'll have just been 2 days ago, and that's lovely and sort of melancholy, and also a celebration in a way to honor him in a place that we all love.
Very fitting tribute, and like you said, I mean, that series ran in the Palm Springs Theater there forever when it first came out, and it's just a special place for everybody. So yeah, I think that's a great way to memorialize that, and fantastic. Well, Emerson Collins, Blake McIver, I can't believe it's been forever since we got to catch up in person. I'll have to get out there sometime soon.
Yes,
Any
Visit.
upcoming new projects we want to talk about before we go? Or where are we going from here? What's happening for the rest of the year here?
It is funny that we were just talking last night that we have a bunch of things percolating. And so we'll sort of be like, what pops up next?
First, yeah.
You know, there's work in the world of a new musical thing. There's Dell and I have a writing thing we're working and going out with. I hopefully the Skivvies will ask us to join them again in the holidays. But so we're climbing up the hill. Like Blake should have an announcement about some training thing, coming very quickly as well. So watch
a lot of irons and a lot of fires.
Yes,
right now.
A lot of
the universe's hands there, and just seeing what Mother Nature drops down. I love it. And
also anything we can. Our good friend Krista McCullough, who was in the Red Suitcase with us, who was in Dell's play Yellow. She is working on a play that Blake is directing a reading of that I'm reading in with her. Coming up in a week or two. So we're also enjoying collaborating with our fellow arts friends as well. So doing lots of little things. So watch our social spaces for the things that are coming.
I love it. Well, let's give those social media addresses. We'll put it in the Chiron along with the foundation address on the bottom here. Where can we find you?
Yeah, everywhere for me is at Blake McIver.
Yeah. And for me, the best world right now is either Facebook, Emerson Collins official, but Instagram has become my main communication now that Twitter has become a dumpster fire. I still check there for things, but at Emerson Collins on Instagram and also my website, emersoncollins.com. Come find us, say hello, check in.
There you go. Guys, I love you. Thanks so much for being on the show. We're going to play some 5 questions for you guys, if that's okay. You mind if we play little 5 questions?
Of course.
All right, we'll do that, guys. Look for that next Tuesday. We'll do 5 questions with Blake and Emerson. Guys, thanks so much again for being on the Left of Str8 show. Follow these guys. You'll love them as much as I do. We appreciate you tuning in today, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Left of Str8 Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website, www.leftofstraightradio.com, for contests and other news and information. See you next week.